Hi, this is Anna Veerwong and you're back with Taste Bud again. And yes, I am still cooking Lao food, but this dish in particular is my own recipes. I just came up with the marinade, taking from familiar taste from childhood and stuff like that. So excited to be back and still working on my cookbook. Hopefully, after a few episodes, I will have more recipes that will be added into the cookbook as well. So yeah, let's get started. Today I am making my signature deep fried pork ribs. So I do have a few recipes for pork ribs because I love ribs. I love anything that's near the bone because I feel like it just tastes better and it's more tasty, with the bone, with all that umami kind of flavor coming out. So this is an American rack of ribs. They're actually quite big and the bones are huge, as you can see. Very little meat, but towards here you get a little bit more meat. But I like this because, like I said, it's very tasty. Anything that's near the bone, usually you get that umami flavor. It's kind of like bone marrow, it's just less fatty, so that's good. And this is a very nice rack of ribs. You can feed about 2 to 3 people. You can use your bare hands, but I usually use cooking gloves just because I'm lazy to wash my hands over and over again. So firstly, we are going to slice them up. So as you can see here, these parts, you just have to slice. The bones kind of already does the work for you, divided everything. A little bit big. All right. Oh. So that is all done. And now we're going to marinate it. So you can actually chop up garlic and put it in here with the marinade, but then it will give a very nice scent. But when you actually deep fry, the garlic do burn, and we want to avoid the burn taste and smell. So what I use is garlic powder, which works just as fine. So you put quite a bit, say twice, big splash of the garlic powder. And today I'm using white pepper instead of black pepper, just because he's Asian and we always use white pepper. So this really depends on how much you like pepper. I do like pepper in all my marinades, so I put quite a bit. And then I'm using Himalayan pink salt. Just a little bit, maybe 3 turns. That's about 3 turns. And then fish sauce. This one you don't use a lot, so I would say maybe 2 tablespoons. Oh, I'm salivating already. I love this recipe. And this is soya sauce, so just normal white soya sauce. 2 tablespoons as well. And my favorite, the most important ingredient for this dish is oyster sauce. I usually put a lot of oyster sauce, but you can kind of adjust that to your own liking. A few splashes. A lot actually, not a few. So just to give you an idea of how much oyster sauce I actually put. Yep, that much. And then we're gonna add some black pepper as well. 3 turns. And also raw brown sugar. So the brown sugar is basically for the pork to be caramelized and you can get that sweetness on the outside, and it will also make the ribs extra crunchy, I guess, on the outside, crispy. Yeah, so about maybe 3 teaspoons is good. Gonna mix it up. So you kind of know if the marinade and the sauces is enough when you can see that all the ribs get just, the same amount of sauces. And plus you can see the color changing right away. And like I say, it's really, it's very subjective. It depends what kind of flavors you like. But it should be a little bit of everything, a little bit salty, a little bit sweet. You can smell the pepper. So yeah, just nice. And now, my favorite part is the batter. This is koki. So you can find this in most Asian grocery store. It's the batter that I use for everything. Like it says tempura batter, but actually you can use it for everything. If you don't have the breadcrumbs, then it won't really be like the tempura texture. This one, I don't put too much. I just want a little bit of texture on the pork ribs when I fry it. Should be enough. So the batter just needs to cover the top of the pork ribs. That's all that you need. Just let me get started on the stuff. So this is deep fried pork ribs. So you need the oil to be up quite high. I would say midway of this frying pan. And today I am using sunflower oil. You can use, I would recommend canola oil, but today I have sunflower oil. You wanna go almost like full strength with the fire, but not exactly full strength because there's a lot of water content in this. So oil and water, as you know, does not really go well together. It will splash everywhere and you might hurt yourself. So now just mixing the batter and the ribs. I would recommend marinating the ribs like overnight or even just for an hour would be good too. Marinating overnight is always better, but if you don't have the time, then it's okay. It will still taste as good. It's just that the meat won't be extra soft in the inside, but in terms of taste, it will taste just as good. So you just want to mix the batter really well. And the color should be like brownish palm sugar kind of color. This dish goes really well with sticky rice or chutney or just normal rice. So the oil is ready now. So the ribs are quite big. But back home, usually the pork ribs are a lot smaller. They're in like really tiny pieces. So when you marinate and you fry it, it's actually a lot tastier because the bone is much bigger than the portion of the meat on it. In terms of deep frying these ribs, it actually doesn't take that long just because there's actually not that much meat. So it should take, no, these ribs are quite big, 10 to 15 minutes. Just preparing to let the oil drip after you fry the ribs because you don't want your ribs to be drenched in oil afterwards. I don't really use paper towels for soaking the oil because I feel like it really sticks to the meat. You don't want that. And you can always adjust like the level of the fire along the way. Just looking at your meat, if you feel like blood and water content is leaking out, then you can really tone down the fire as well. So the pork ribs are almost done. It has been about 12 minutes just because they're huge. And now we're just gonna let the oil drip a little bit before we plate it. And like I said before, it's a very simple dish. It's perfect if you're really hungry and you're feeling like eating something that reminds you of home. So these are the ribs. They're huge. They'll be quite tasty. So you really want this caramel kind of color with your ribs, and that's what the brown sugar is for. And now I'm going to garnish it. So usually I either cut or just tear these lime leaves a little bit just to get, because the scent is actually from the inside of the leaf, so you can't really smell it that much from the outside, but then the stem is where the scent is. So you just garnish it with the fried shallots. I use this brand, or you can make it yourself. Sometimes if I have time, I make it myself as well. And here you have it, my signature deep fried pork ribs.